welcome in, Gems. And this is going to be another episode / part 3 of how to rig a 2D model from scratch. So if you haven't checked out my first episode or second episode, I will leave those in the description. I will also leave a card to the first one up above. This episode, we are going to be adding all of our parts into the warp deformers that they need to be attached to, and we will most likely also get involved in rigging the head. So this is going to be a ton of fun, and let's get started. Okay, so we're going to be moving every single piece that we have into different deformers. So basically, if I have one piece that's in a specific deformer, that deformer will be able to control and manipulate that part that you put in it. So first, we're going to move everything over. So face blush, if you have any face blush, go ahead and bring that into your cheeks warp deformer that we made before. And if you have a cheek left and a cheek right, that's fine. You can do a child to the parent cheek, do cheek L warp, cheek R warp, and then put a single cheek in each one. Or if you have double like I do, you could just drop it straight into cheeks. Next, we're going to do brow. So this is the left brow. We're going to want to put left brow into the angle one. So you want to open up all these and put it into angle. Another way you can do this is you click on whatever asset down here. So I'm on eyebrow left, and you can go to the deformer and assign the deformer right here. So we'll try it this way as well. So you could either drag it in or do this way. So these are two different ways you can do it. So I'm going to go to brow L, which should be up here, brow L angle, which was the furthest one down. It shows you the parenting system too here by indenting it further in. So now you can see that eyebrow L is in there. So we're probably going to do that for the rest of this. So face, we're going to want to put face and do face warp. So face warp should be right up here somewhere. Let's see if I can see it. Here it is. So I'm just going to drag this one into face warp. Okay, that should be good. Eyelid R. So all of our eyelids, so everything is gonna, we'll just, for now, we'll move it over. We're gonna put it straight into IR warp, not into position yet. So just put it into IR warp or IL warp. So we're gonna grab all of our R's. Let's see, this is the right eye, right eye, right eye, right eye. Yep, so these all need to go into right eye from here down. So I'm just going to select all those at once. You can do it individually if you get confused, but these are all right eye assets. So I'm going to go ahead and go to IR warp and just put those in there for now. Let's see if we missed anything. Don't think we did. Also, I'm going to move this other eyebrow into the R because I didn't move it yet. So we're just going to scroll down, remember here, and look for brow R angle. We're going to put eyebrow into the angle one and not the warp, not the position. So put that in angle. Great. And now I'm also going to move all these left guys. I'm going to select all the way down to the left. These are all left eye assets. And I'm going to drop down the deformer and put them in the IL warp. So let's find IL warp. Perfect. So now I'm going to put these where they need to be. So just drag the pupil into your position for both L and R. So we're going to have pupil in position, leave the rest of the stuff up there for now. For R, we're also going to put IR pupil into the position. There we go, that's in position. And then move your highlights down to the places they need to be in. So I have two highlights, so I want to put highlight 1 into the 1 folder, and then 2 into the 2 folder. And then same thing for the left eye here. We're going to drop that down, and we're going to do highlight 1 into 1, and then 2 into 2. Perfect. So now our eyes are done. You can collapse those. Those are good to go. Both our brows are good as well. So now lip upper, remember how you assigned a warp deformer for each piece of the mouth, and you made sure it was parented to the mouth. So now we're going to, and if you're unfamiliar with these vocab terms, again, I did mention them earlier in some of my other videos, but if you're confused, you know, just leave a comment down below and say, hey, I don't understand what a parent or warp, a parent or a child is, and I'll explain it. But I'm trying to use vocab to help you guys get used to these things. So lip upper is going to go to the deformer lip upper. So we're just going to scroll through and look for this. So there it is. It is again, children to the parent, which is the mouth warp, because when we start moving stuff around, this is going to make sure it moves everything else around. But this also allows us to move around the single assets if we need to. So if we need to move just the upper lip, we can do that. But if we need to move everything at once, instead of going through and moving every single piece, that's why mouth warp is on top of all these and why all these are children to mouth warp. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, if you're confused, go ahead and drop a comment down below and I'll try to help you understand it better. All right, so we're going to put lip upper into lip upper. We're going to put lip lower to lip lower. So we're going to scroll through again and look for lip lower. Perfect. We're going to put teeth to teeth, teeth to teeth, tongue to tongue, and back mouth. Perfect. Next we got nose. So we just need to literally put that into the nose warp deformer. So let's just look for that. I just saw it. Nose is right here. And then wolf L will go to L ear, will go to the L ear. I know this probably sounds so confusing just hearing me say L and R, but hopefully you can follow along. I know it's like, ah! Okay, wolf L ear goes to wolf L. And then this one will go to the right ear. Cool. See how those are all going in there now? Loose hair. So I did have to redo a bunch of this because for some reason it didn't save before last video. So if I have any deformers over here that we didn't make in the previous video, don't freak out about it right now. We will address those things, but just pay close attention to if I change anything. I don't have all the sub stuff for this right now because when we get to hair physics, I'm still learning a little bit about it. So I'll explain that again when we get there for the hair stuff. So just don't freak out too much about it right now. We can move stuff around later. So I'm gonna move loose hair into loose hair. I should have one for loose hair. And if you don't have one, you can just make one. Hair bang. All the bangs are gonna go into the front. Hair front. Whoops. I dropped down the deformer. We're in the wrong thing. Hair front warp, so we're just going to drop all those in there. Side left, these are all left hairs, so I'm going to grab all those again with the shift click. And we're going to put this in hair left. You got a hair left warp. And then I'm going to put those in hair R warp. And again, if you have more sub layers and stuff, I would put it as low as you can in the sub layers. But again, it's not a huge deal right now, so don't freak out about it if you're confused. Okay, so drop down that deformer. We're going to look for hair R warp. Nice. And then hair back. I did forget to make a hair back since I had to redo a bunch of this. So I'm just going to go into my face rotator. You guys don't have to do this part. I'm just making a hair back because I messed everything up like I said earlier. So we're going to drag hair back into the hair back warp. And then we're going to do neck to neck. Drag neck to neck warp. Golden choker will go to choker warp. Main plate will go to chest plate warp. And then the body X warp. These will all go into the body X warp. Body X warp. There we go. Okay, good. Now we have all of our parts. You should have everything where it needs to be. Awesome. So I'm just going to save my work there. So I know we talked about making all these rotators for shoulder L and shoulder R before. We're going to delete those for now because we're doing this as a simple rig. Again, I'd like to do more 2D rigging tutorials in the future for more in-depth stuff as I learn it. But for right now, we're just going to cut these out because it gets a little bit more complicated. We're just going to bring all of our body parts into body X warp for now. So go ahead and delete those. And again, I'm sorry about having you guys make them earlier. As I said, I'm still learning myself, so we're making progress together, and again, you know, that's what counts. That's what matters. We're all here learning. Alrighty, so next what we're gonna do is we're gonna learn about something called parameters. So parameters are all these different things going on down here. You should have these by default in here. If you don't, then you might have created your file wrong. That's okay. You can remake them, and if you need to remake them, you can go to new parameter and call it angle X. And if this happens, make sure in your ID you also put angle, leave the param part there, X. All right, because you want to make sure that you have this linked, or it's not going to work when you bring it over into another program. So if you need to do that, you can make them from scratch, but you should have all these guys in here. So we're going to have different folders for different parts that we end up moving. So go ahead and create a new folder, and this folder is going to be called face. This is going to be for moving the face. So what the parameters do is essentially they record your keyframes. So that's how you can move everything. So as I said earlier, you know, when you text your atlas and then you lay meshes on top of everything, this is a mesh here. Basically, if you move these points in combination with how you make the parameter over here, it will record the fact that you're moving the eye like this, and that's how you get the animations of a character moving. So again, I'll walk you through it. You'll learn more about this, but so something you want to make sure of is, again, I use the test file to make sure that things are what I need them to be. I'm just going to unlink these so I can look at them. So there's a max and there is a minimum. So we have a -30 for angle X and we have a +30. And then this is our neutral. So the middle is always going to be your neutral button here. And as far as hotkeys go, you click right click to snap onto these points. Make sure you snap onto them when we are working on these certain angles and such. And then you can also slide with your left. But middle is usually going to be your neutral position, but that's not always the case depending on what we're working on, but keep that in mind. This in angle X is usually going to be across, angle Y is going to be up, so think about it like a grid. And then angle Z is usually rotation in the 3D realm here, at least for 2D work. So we're going to be learning all about these, so don't worry. So as we can see, we have a +30 and a -30. So what we're going to do here is check that and make sure we've got that. And if for some reason we didn't have that and we are trying to mimic another file, we could just go into edit parameter and you can look here and set your minimum, your default, and your maximum. So you right click and then you click edit parameter. But here what we're going to do is I'm going to edit parameter, or not edit parameter, sorry. I'm just going to double click on this empty space. So make sure you double tap, double click. whoops, we need to at least select one object. We're gonna select our face warp. So I'm gonna do is double click for the face warp, and now we get this little timeline here that is open, and it shows you the same thing you saw here, 30, and there'd be a -30, and then you have your 0, 0, which is the middle. So we want 3 points while we're moving the face. So this is all gonna be for animating the face moving around. When you see VTubers move their face, that's what this particular section is. So we want 3 points. You can click on here to place the point. Sometimes it doesn't work and it will give you the wrong number. If that happens, usually I'll just go in and assign it manually with the little plus there on the green, so we can just do a 30 and then we can do a -30, because sometimes you can't get it just by clicking on the timeline. So that's how you do that manually, and you can get rid of it by clicking this one. I'm gonna click OK, and now we have all these recorded. So if you see it's green, that means it is starting to record. If they're white for some reason, that means there's nothing being recorded if I clicked on something else. So we're gonna go to middle here, and basically we're just gonna see. So again, you could use your other files here, see how things are working. So when we unlinked those, angle X, this is moving to the right, this is moving to the left. So that's all we're gonna do. We wanna move it to the right, and then we'll snap back, and then we'll move it to the left. So there is essentially 2 ways you could do this. So you could start moving over one piece by one piece. So like you can move over the head, left, right, up, down, all that stuff. Or you can do the whole face. If you're looking to get a quicker rig, you could do the whole face. You can also do the whole face and then move other parts over as well. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to your face rotation over here in the hierarchy, and you're gonna create a new warp and literally call this face core warp. This is gonna be everything. So if we want everything to move, I'm just going to make this way bigger. Remember, holding shift control, control alt, so it doesn't move everything at once with it. All right, so next, move this face core warp into the face rotation. I don't know why it's not moving down right now. There we go. Face core warp is right here. Now you're gonna move everything that's in face rotation into the face core warp. So I'm literally just dragging and dropping all of our guys that are inside of here, whoops, into face core warp. Mouse warp, nose to face core, wolf ear. We might be able to move all these at once. I'll try it, why not? Let's try that. Yep, it worked, nice. So now what we could do is go to face core warp, and what we're gonna do is we wanna add, remember, our 3 points. So let's go, we'll add 1, 2, and 3, but for some reasons mine is not working. So I'm gonna type it in manually, 30 and a -30. Cool. So we can move everything at once. We're gonna have to take the neck out, my bad. Make sure you drag the neck out because we don't want the neck going with that. And then we'll go back to face core and then move that. So you could move it like this. So see now how everything's going to the right with it? You could do it all together or one at a time. So we'll start with all together, but to make it really have that 3D look, we're gonna have to go in and edit small things at a time. Like we're gonna wanna crunch the eyebrow, crunch the eye, crunch the nose, because you know when you're looking to your right, those things are going to be crunched in because you're looking away. There's gonna be some foreshortening going on. If you know anything about perspective, that makes sense. Another thing I highly recommend is if you have a stand-up mirror. I have a face mirror that I keep on my desk. It basically has a little stand, and there's a mirror that I can rotate to the super magnified side or the regular side. And what I do is I look at the mirror when I am in the middle of using Live2D, because you can look at how your neck is rotating. If I rotate my neck like this, or if I look up or I look down, I can look in the mirror and see what my neck looks like. So that's really helpful whenever you're doing any kind of animation, not just Live2D. So definitely consider doing that if you haven't, or you could just go to the mirror and maybe record a video of you like doing those different movements and then use that as reference for doing this. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're just moving right, then we're gonna snap back to the middle, click right click on this dot, and then we're gonna move this to the left. I'm holding down shift when I move this, so it's not really going out of the parameters. So now we have right and left. There we go, look at that. We got right and left, and then for angle Y, remember Y stands for up and down. So I'm just gonna right click on here. You can also, if you don't want to go in, if it already has the dots here, add this little plus here. You can also add a 1, 2, 3 by just clicking there. So we'll automatically add it, or you can do 2 at a time, and this gets rid of all of your points. So I'm just going to do the 3 because we got all those there already. And what we're going to do is, it looks like I have to reset this on my face warp because I messed this up. So I'm just going to go ahead, whoops, I'm going to go ahead and clear that. Yeah, that should be good now. You guys didn't have to do that part. That was just me. Okay, so on face core, now remember angle Y to the right is going to be looking up. So we're going to move this up a bit. I'm going to snap back, and then we're going to go down here, and then we're going to hold shift again. Whoops. and have her look down. So now we got up and down. Cool. So essentially, if we were to link these together, now we have her looking at all these different directions. This is if you wanted a super basic rig. Obviously, this looks kind of not like exactly what we want. Something you could do after that too is click synthesize corners and just click OK. And basically, it will calculate all the different corners based off of that. But I'm going to go back, and I'm going to unlink these because we want to do literally every single thing. Like the eyes, the nose, and I'll show you guys how we're going to do that. So that's one way you could do it. I'm going to go to angle Z now, and we're going to go to our face rotation here. So make sure we're adding the animation on the face rotation. So whenever you're adding stuff here, you want to be on that specific parts because that's where you're adding the animation. So the face rotation, we're going to be using this face rotator. So whenever you're in the middle also of animating anything else, make sure you snap everything back to the original point because you don't want to be over here and then trying to animate the rotation of the neck. Make sure you snap them both back to middle. So now we're gonna go to angle Z and we're gonna do let's check again, because I'm not 100% sure, so we can use this. Angle Z does have 3 points, great. And again, it has 30 and 30. And again, I'm reading that number right here. So it's -30, +30, great. So we're gonna add 3 points by clicking this. And remember, there's multiple ways you can add those points like I showed you earlier. Whoops, I didn't want to do on angle Y, my bad, on angle Z. Okay, so actually we'll have to go in manually and add these. So I'm just going to go like that, click OK. So to the right, we're just going to rotate our face to the right. I think we need to make sure your face core warp is inside the face rotation. That's why that was not working. So now I'm going to go ahead and tilt that. And again, this is when looking at a mirror be helpful. You know, how far can your neck really rotate? I don't know. And a big part about animation too is, you know, exaggerating stuff. Exaggerate it more than you think because exaggeration makes it more interesting to the eye. So I'll also leave a link down below for the Survival Animation Toolkit. It's a book every animator should have if you're really into Live2D and you want to keep doing stuff like this. I highly suggest getting that book, the Survival Animation Toolkit. Again, I will link the Amazon link. It's super helpful and it will teach you a lot about animation. And again, this can be really helpful applying to Live2D stuff. So again, now we got our rotation. Awesome. And now we got the face moving left and right. Now I'm just going to show you guys a quick example of what this looks like. Again, we didn't rig barely anything yet. This is only the first few steps. And in the next video, we're actually going to start rigging everything. I know I said we were probably going to do it this video, but I want you guys to make sure you get everything labeled in here correctly and good to go and understood what parameters are. And in the next video, we'll really start getting down to the meat of it, rigging everything, our eyebrows, our eyes, all that fun stuff. We have more things to learn, but this is a lot of the core, and you know, it just comes with practice. So what I'm going to do, you can test this whenever you want. I'm going to go to File. I'm going to export for runtime, export for runtime, export as M03 file. You want to make sure you save it into the same place, the export, you want to save it into the same place that you saved the file initially. So I'm going to click OK. And I want to make sure this is in the same file, and I actually have no idea. I think the file's in here. Star Guardian 3. I don't know if it is. Our textures might be missing. I'll hope so. But make sure you save it into the file where you originally saved it at first. I'm going to click save. And I'm just going to go to Steam. So the program I'm going to be using for this tutorial specifically, we might look into other stuff later, is PRPR Live. I will leave a link to this down below. I'm, again, just doing a quick thing. We'll go over into the controls of PRPR Live at the end of the video. I don't know why I'm leaning. I've literally been leaning to the right so far for the last like half of the tutorial. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna fix that right now so y'all don't have to look at me leaning. I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh, why does this happen? Okay, so I'm gonna have to turn off my 3D VTuber to show you guys this. But again, okay, so we'll go over like more of the in-depth stuff about PRPR Live at the end of this tutorial. So don't freak out about it again right now. I'm just gonna close my... And again, you can only have your camera recording one thing at once. So if you're like running a 3D VTuber, I don't think you can run a 2D and a 3D VTuber at the same time. So I just had to close my 3D, which was running my 3D model. So we're gonna go to Live2D, we're gonna load, and I'm gonna go to desktop, and we're gonna look for the Star Guardian. Here it is. Yeah, see, I have my textures in here, my other model stuff in there. So we're just gonna click on this model. It should be right here now. I could double click. There she is. I'm gonna scroll wheel to zoom in. Scroll wheel, hold control and alt, or actually it's alt. And now we're just gonna go to face cap settings, and I'm gonna start capture. So now you can see, look, we already got rotation. I'm rotating my neck right now, and I'm looking left and right, but it doesn't look very 3D because we didn't make everything look, you know, super 3D. So this is when you could start testing stuff. If you want to start testing anything, I would highly recommend bringing it over into Live PR, and you can keep going back. You know, you could keep bringing it back and forth. But this is what we got so far. So look at all that progress in, you know, a short amount of time. And again, I will go through all this UI and explain this and stuff on the last video of the series when we're finally done with ours. But again, I'd encourage you downloading it and going ahead to test things out while we're in the middle, because I'll be doing that quite a lot. Yeah, so in the next video, we will really get down to rigging, but just so you have a little bit of idea of how this stuff works, there you go. And yeah, so we'll do head. We'll probably start eyes or eyebrows. We honestly, next video might all be head, because the head honestly takes forever. So I'll talk to you about my tips and tricks about how to make it look as 3D as possible with having what we've got so far. So we'll try that, and then we'll see where we're at from there. But it was lovely to help you guys so far. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. You can join the Discord down below as well. Great place to get feedback and help. We're always there. I'm live on YouTube on Friday, so if you want to come ask me questions live on Friday at 1 p.m. Mountain, that's a good time to do it. But other than that, I'll see you in the next part, and hopefully you're learning and making progress. Goodbye!